Slowed everything down. Hi, my name's Mark, one of the pastors at Trillium. You probably heard the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The idea behind it is that you and I can seek friendship, build alliances together if we can share a common enemy. That common enemy is the key that binds us together to each other, that allows us to make the connection. This happens in our own personal lives. It can happen in the lives of nations. India and the United States had frosty relations through most of the 20th century, but recently they've drawn very close to each other. Over the last 10 years, there's a developing friendship and a alliance building that's gone on between the two nations. The reason being principally that they share a common enemy today. Guess what the name of that enemy is? China. China is the reason the United States and India have drawn closer to each other, have developed a new friendship. On a personal level, when you and I gossip about somebody, it's not really about them at all in a lot of cases. It's about you and me building the relationship. We find the common enemy, the person we're gossiping about, in order that we might draw closer to each other, develop certain alliance in the moment with each other, a rapport, maybe even a friendship. And it doesn't even have to be about another person. When you and I are complaining about something, like the government or our favorite sports team or taxes or whatever it might be, the weather, we're using that thing we're complaining about as the proxy that will allow us to come closer to each other. Now, what does it mean, though, to build friendship on the basis of displacing our hostility onto a third party? Like, what does it mean? Are they reliable relationships then? Did they endure? When we displace our hostility onto a third party, we have a name for it. It's called scapegoating. According to René Girard, scapegoating is the glue that's held societies together for the past 10,000 years. See, remember, we influence each other. We share a common desire often. We shape each other's wants and desires. That means sometimes we become rivals. And if that rivalry intensifies enough, we get in each other's way to getting what we want, which means we become obstacles to each other. And if that obstacle making intensifies enough, we become each other's enemy. And that leads to conflict, violence, destruction. It means the dissolution of community. And the way we displace that or get rid of it is we put it on a third party over there. You and I take the hostility and angst and we shove it over onto a third party there. We displace it to them, and that allows us to come closer to each other. Because remember, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. If we share a common enemy, that means we can develop a friendship. For the last 10,000 years, this is how human society has worked. The gospel of Jesus tells us that we're no longer to build connection with each other, to build social peace on the basis of scapegoating others. It doesn't work for one reason. That's one of the analysis of the gospel, but it's also immoral. What does it mean to displace our hostility onto a third party? Scapegoating is the undersource or the undergirding of a whole practice of human sacrifice. What does it mean for a society to find social peace by sacrificing others? Jesus himself, of course, was scapegoated. The Roman authorities and the Jewish authorities were in rivalry with each other, battling it out with each other. Jesus comes on the scene. They take that hostility and they displace it onto him. They direct it against him. That allows Jesus to become the enemy. That allows the Roman and Jewish authority figures to come together as friends. Of course, Jesus is arrested, he's convicted, and executed. The early church makes a really bold claim that Jesus was innocent of the charges. He was wrongfully convicted. He wasn't guilty of plotting sedition against civil or religious authority at all. He was an innocent bystander. And see, the gospel reveals the underlying lie behind scapegoating. Most scapegoats are innocent of the charge. They're simply not the enemy. And the gospel calls us to stop making each other into the enemy in order to find social peace with others. To seek out a better way, the way that Jesus showed us, which is love. Holy love, divine love flowing through us to each other, giving us a new perception that allows us to see each other as we really are. Brothers and sisters made in the likeness of God, sharing in the divine image. No longer the enemy of my enemy is friendship, but but seeking the common ground together, rooted in the understanding that we share the heritage and the blessing of the Creator of the universe.